Hey again, I'm Tim Beavers from the People's Blues of Richmond. I'm going to talk about Well Well, a song that appears on our first two albums. It's the first song on our first album, Hard on Blues, and then it's the hidden track at the end of our second album, Good Time Suicide. And it comes at the end of the song Motherfucker, which was the last Tim talk that I did. If you just let that song end and keep waiting, then another version of Well Well comes in. I wanted to start off with the first couple lines. I grabbed two of the lines from that first verse. I'm the divine criminal, I'm a self-damned man, am I not the great accursed? I took two of those from a letter that Arthur Rimbaud wrote to a friend of his, another poet, Paul Verlaine. And Arthur Rimbaud is a French poet who only wrote from when he was 16 to 19. He's got two collections specifically that I'm obsessed with. Uh, a Drunken Boat, or The Drunken Boat, and A Season in Hell. And so he stopped writing and just became like a rum and gun runner on some island off the coast of Africa, and married a woman down there, lived on the island, and lived out the rest of his life adventuring and not writing. I think that's pretty cool. But so anyway, I'm gonna read you a paragraph from this letter that really meant a lot to me when I found it when I was younger. The poet makes himself a seer by a long, immense, and rational dissoluteness of all the senses, all the forms of love, of suffering, of madness. He searches himself, he consumes all the poisons in him, to only keep their quintessences. Inexpressible torture where he needs all the faith, all the superhuman strength, where he becomes, above all others, the great patient, the divine criminal, the great accursed, and the supreme savant. For he arrives at the unknown, because he has cultivated his soul, already rich, more than anyone else. He reaches the unknown, and when, terrified, he ends up losing the meaning of his visions, at least he has seen them. Let him die of his bound through the unheard of and countless things. Other horrible workers will come. They will begin from the horizons where the other has succumbed. Yeah, so that just changed my world when I first read it. So yeah, the divine criminal and the great accursed both were quotes from that. And self-damned man, just like the opposite of a self-made man. Like sometimes I find myself like in my depressions or when things are going really bad for me, like wondering why is this happening to me, and then but if I look back at like everything that I've done like leading up to it, I usually get exactly what I asked for. And so yeah, I'm definitely a self-damned man and don't need any help from the universe. um, and the next verse is I'm a hungry man. uh, we were literally starving when when this was written, uh, probably 8 years ago now or something. But me and Matt used to wake up in Oregon Hill, and then we would uh, walk all the way down to Carytown with our guitars over our shoulders, and we'd play down there for a couple of hours, stomping around, screaming till our voices were hoarse, and we'd make like $4 between us. So we'd get like a beer or a little like flask of whiskey, and then we'd walk back down to VCU, and we'd steal lunch from the Commons over there, and then that's how we were getting by. So we were literally hungry, and it became like once we got our first van, and and Nico joined the band. That was like at the same time, and things were like going well, just in the fact that like we'd established our new lineup, made it through the lineup change, and things were going great. We had like a whole band of people willing to do anything and everything it took, like, and give anything and everything to the band. So uh, we wanted to remember, like, to continue to be hungry, like even when we show up at a venue and they have like the rider for us and like food and booze and like treat us well. Like we got to remember what it's like when you wake up like scared that you're not gonna have anything to eat, and you work really fucking hard because of it. Um, so when it was first written, the first album, it was like uh, an acoustic guitar stomp, like boom, ba, boom, ba, boom, ba, ba, da, da, boom, ba, ba, boom, ba. And I was uh, I was really stoked on this Muddy Waters album that I had gotten recently. Back then, it was called Hard Again from 1972. So like, way after Muddy Waters' like first bunch of albums, and it's got Johnny Winter playing all the lead guitar on it, and I think Paul Butterfield plays all the harmonica, and it's just fucking amazing. And there's the first song on it is Manish Boy, and there's the part where he's like, well, 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 and it sounds so badass and manly. And so I would just sit there like playing the riff from the original version, the fast version of Well, Well, and just go well, 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 because I don't have like a deep manly voice, and I'm such a spaz. I'm playing it 3 times as fast, and so yeah, that sort of I don't know. It was a frustrated, hungover, hungry song, and I remember sitting in the living room area between our 2 rooms in our apartment on Marshall Street, where the events of Leaves Die happened, and that's where this song was put together. And, like, we had this couch in there that we'd gotten from the upstairs neighbors. They threw it out, and they had built it out of PVC pipe and like styrofoam or something. It was so weird, and it smelled like mothballs and cats because they had cats and I guess a bunch of mothballs up there. And so I would sleep on that, and Maddie would sleep sitting up in that chair, and like a chair next to me with another chair in front of him with his legs on it, just like, how I always take pictures of him sleeping. Like that's how I originally caught that. It was him sleeping sitting up in the chair. Um, but one night I was in there, and something had happened. Like I think I had tried some opiate for the first time, and I hadn't, I wasn't very far along in opiate addiction back then, and I was drinking a lot, and it like ended up really fucking me up. So I like fell asleep on the couch like Maddie does usually with my head back, sitting up, and he falls asleep next to me the same way, and he wakes up in the middle of the night to me going just puking straight up in the air, like back in my own mouth, like black vomit. And so he just like knocked me over so I wasn't like choking on my own puke, and saved me in there. um, but yeah, we had a lot of crazy times in that house, and a lot of interesting music came out of it. We recorded it the first time at Minimum Wage Studio with Lance, the drummer from No BS Brass Band, local hero. And yeah, his studio in Oregon Hill called Minimum Wage. That was just definitely where we were going to record our first album. We did it in a weekend. Like, we recorded the songs in 2 days. But 2 of the songs, Only Insane and Whiskey and Gin, we did with Ricky Olson, the guy that recorded Quit or Die and who's recording our 4th album right now. He was working at a studio, I won't say the name of it, but he was just interning, but he had a key, so he snuck us in there like after hours at night, and we gave him weed. And he recorded 2 songs or 4 songs for us. We only kept 2 of them, and then we ended up borrowing money from a drug dealer to pay for the session at minimum wage because we were so broke, even though it was so cheap. And then he ended up having to go on the run, or like thought he did. I don't remember it. Like he didn't end up getting in trouble, so it was all good. But we didn't have to pay for the album because he had to disappear, and we always thought that was a pretty rad rock and roll way to go about getting your first album done. Then on the second album, we were just we had no intention of adding Well again as a hidden track, but Adrian Olson, the guy that recorded Good Time Suicide, we were playing with all sorts of noise in there. Like we were using this Flickinger board that is a analog tape board, which is super cool, and it was the one that T-Rex used for one of their albums, Futuristic Dragon, like the exact one. And so we were getting all these cool noises from it when we were rewinding. You can hear that we put them on the album, like in the beginning of Hard On Blues, the song. It's like that's the just the sound of the tape rewinding that we were hearing in our headphones all day between takes. So yeah, then he just started playing something. Um, he slowed something we were playing down a whole bunch, and it sounded like that cool sound that we got on that slow version of So we did that. Just made like music, and all the guitar leads are like improvised first, like all during the take. Like I didn't even go back and punch those in or anything. They happened while we were recording the song, and then just use the words from the first song on the first album over the crazy like stoner rock riff thing that we put together, and thought it'd be cool to have it be the first song on the first album and like the hidden track last song on the second album. And yeah, so we stuck it on there. Always kind of wanted to do a hidden track too, so that was cool. Um, and what else we got on here? Oh yeah, that was with Raph and Tommy. Uh, Before Nico was our drummer, both of those albums. Tommy wasn't on Hard On Blues album, but he was on Good Time Suicide. Yeah, I think that's about all I got for Well. But thanks for stopping in again. Hope you enjoyed.